Hey guys, today I'd like to talk about the topic that comes up in nearly every conversation about English learning, accents. If you're watching this, chances are you have an accent when speaking English. Everyone does. But depending on who you ask, your accent is either charming, distracting, a problem, or something to work on. So is it really? In this video, we will go deeper. We will talk about what an accent is, how it forms, some accents that are hard to understand sometimes, and whether it's something that needs to be changed or just better understood. This isn't a motivational talk, it's a structured explanation based on linguistics, psychology, and international English communication. So let's begin. Let's define what we mean by accent. In simple words, an accent is the way you pronounce a language, shaped by your first language, your religion, and the speech patterns you were exposed to early in life. It affects how you say vowels and consonants, how you stress syllables, the rhythm, intonation, and flow of your speech. Accents form because the brain develops a phonetic map in childhood. By around age 6 to 10, most people have a stable sound system, a default way of producing and recognizing sounds. Any new language learned after that point is influenced by the existing system. So when someone learns English as a second language, their pronunciation is naturally influenced by the sound system of their first language. This influence, if consistent, becomes their accent. It's worth nothing. Native speakers also have accents. A person from London doesn't sound like a person from Liverpool. An American from New York sounds very different from someone from California or Texas. So why do non-native accents often get treated as something bad, something wrong, or less correct? We will come back to that. But first, let's look at comprehension. Why some accents are harder to understand? One of the most common complaints people have about accents is this: I couldn't understand what they said. But there's more going on here than just pronunciation. Our brains are tuned to expect certain sound patterns. When we hear something different, unfamiliar rhythm, different stress, or unexpected intonation, we just need more time to process it. That's not because the speaker is wrong. It's because our brains are used to a certain musical structure, and when we hear a different melody, it feels harder to follow. There's also another factor: exposure. People who are regularly exposed to many types of English, international teachers, travelers, call center workers, usually have no trouble understanding different accents. But people who grow up in monolingual environments often struggle simply because their ears haven't learned to adapt. In that case, the issue is limited listening experience, but not the speaker's ability. It's important to separate these ideas because I couldn't understand this often means I'm not used to this, not they spoke badly. Now let's take a moment to clarify something that's often misunderstood. Accent is not the same as mispronunciation. They often get confused, but they are very, very different. An accent is a systematic influence from your first language. It shapes how you use English sounds, where you place stress, and how you sing a sentence. It's consistent, natural, and predictable. Mispronunciation, on the other hand, is when a word or sound is produced in the way that is unclear, inaccurate, disruptive to understanding. Let's look at some examples of pronunciation errors that are not part of a typical accent. Saying biscuit instead of biscuit, that is misplacing sounds. Wrong word stress, for example, interesting instead of interesting, confusing th, s, or t when you say I think or I sing, but it will be more like I think, or for example, comfortable instead of comfortable. These aren't accent problems, they are pronunciation habits that can be corrected or changed over time. Why is it important? Because many learners say I hate my accent, when in fact what's really bothering them or their listeners is unclear pronunciation, not the accent itself. Working on clarity doesn't mean erasing your identity. It means fine-tuning your sound system so that your voice is easier to understand. Let's ask directly, when, if ever, Is an accent a real problem? It can become a barrier in very specific situations. In jobs where perfect comprehension is essential, like air traffic control, news broadcasting, or emergency services. When communication regularly breaks down even after repetition, or when the speaker feels so insecure about their voice that it stops them from using the language. But in most real-world situations, like schools, offices, meetings, or casual conversations, your accent does not prevent people from understanding you as long as you speak clearly and confidently. The real problem most of the time is social bias. You need to understand that accent is not a communication error. It's a form of variation. And variation in language, it's normal. But if you want to reduce your accent, you can try shadowing native speakers. You need to listen and repeat after them, practice stress, rhythm, and intonation, working with feedback tools like recordings or mirror practice. But the question here is, should you try to reduce your accent? And I would say that you should do it only in these situations. If it makes you feel more confident, you are doing it for yourself, you are working in a job where clarity is essential. So the thing I want to say is that you don't need to sound native if you don't want it to. You just need to be clear in your speaking, in your pronunciation, and be confident. Accent is the history of your learning and it deserves respect. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you in the next video.